G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Tuesday, where every Tuesday we get together, we talk about some new, different, exciting, or just useful technology in the FPV drone racing world. And today, well, I've got something that I think about 5% of people in our hobby are going to absolutely love and want to get instantly. And then there's 95% of people are going to be like, well, that's cool, but am I really going to use that? Now, essentially what we have, this is from Ruideng. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'll link it down below anyway. Ruideng. But what this is like a USB, voltage checker, battery checker, can check your cables, a whole bunch of stuff. And that's kind of useful in our hobby because I know a lot of times we're connecting via USB, things like to our flight controllers, all that sort of stuff seems to be pretty standard on how we're connecting up to our quadcopters. And also, I know this thing is fantastic for monitoring voltage. So things like my GoPro battery at the moment, that's playing up and I want to find out, what's going on with my battery. Is it charging up to full? All that sort of stuff, because it's over USB power. Sometimes it's a bit hard to track, but this thing right here, it's going to be a fantastic diagnosing tool that's going to let us sort of do that. So what we're going to be doing, I'm going to stick it on the bench, breaking it down and sort of having a quick look at its features, because look, it's pretty basic and, actually that's not true. It can do what it does really, really well, and it can graph it and do a whole bunch of, sort of looking at the data in some interesting ways. But the idea behind it is really simple. It just looks at your voltage and finds out what's going on and is your USB, and it helps you find the problem. Now essentially, look, I do have two of these and I was going to run a bit of a giveaway, but by the time I post one of these out, I sort of looked at the postage and they're kind of, I think, around the $10 mark anyway, so it's probably going to cost just as much as sort of it would in post. So I'm probably just going to give this one to Trev or Cal, but what we should do, let's kick on and find out why 5% of people might find this thing very useful. Rightio, here it is on the bench, and I guess there's two versions. There's a Bluetooth version or the normal version. So if you get the Bluetooth one, you can hook it up to your phone, you can graph your results, check things in real time, all that sort of stuff. But for me, look, I'm not really interested in that sort of stuff. For me and my purposes, I just want to find out what's going on with my GoPro, and I really just want to check the battery voltage, and what's going in is how full is my battery getting. So if I stick it on the scales, it shouldn't weigh too much. Let's see if I can tear these off right here, and coming in, I think it's about 18.5 grams. And essentially all we need to do, I'm going to plug one side in for my GoPro. So that's right here, because I've been having some problems with this GoPro, and the other side, that's going to plug in to my little power bank that I've got here. So you can see it turns on, it's got a big, nice, bright screen right there, and straight away, we're already charging. So you can see it tells you the voltage that it's charging at, the amperage, and also right here in milliamp hours. You could also have your watt hours as well on the bottom one, but this little red one right here, that's what I'm going to be interested in. And as this charges up, when I leave it on a full charge, I want to find out exactly how much juice did I put in. Then when it dissipates, I want to find out, is it only charging up halfway? What's going on? Because I'm sick of my GoPro going flat. Now every once in a while, I think it's set on 2 minutes, the screen's going to turn off, so it's going to sort of try to save a bit of battery, that sort of stuff. It does some other things, like it tells you the battery. You can also put it on, it's got 10 groups here, and essentially that's like a lap, not a lap timer, but you could have 10 different cycles if you want to come back and sort of tear something off or find out what's going on. But that's a nice little option. I'm, to be honest, not going to be using that whatsoever though for my hobby. Underneath we've got a couple of different menus, and if you press these buttons, I think if you hold them in, where is it, help, it tells you exactly what's going on. You can rotate the screen, clear the data, all that sort of stuff. It's got a lot of options you've got on here. Now, to be honest, most of the things in here I'm not going to be using in my hobby. Now, another little feature I think is really useful. Sometimes when people are sort of trying to hook their quadcopters and drones up to their computer, they often have times with their USB, I guess with the USB cord itself, and it can be really hard to troubleshoot. Is it wrong with your drone? Is it something wrong with your computer? Or is it something wrong with the USB cable? And this little device, that's going to let you check that, check the resistance, and find out, is your USB cable working as well? So I think they're probably the main two features that I'm going to be using. I want to check how much voltage, or I guess how much, sorry, that's not true, that's not the right word. I guess how many milliamp hours am I putting into my battery? And I also want to find out, there we go, here's probably the screen that I'll be using, and I also want to find out do I have any problems with my USB cable? But I'm sure a lot of people out there, they're going to find a lot of other uses. But for me, look, that's the main thing that I'm excited about. It's going to let me check my batteries via USB, because previously I just haven't really had any way to do that. I know some more expensive chargers do it and all that sort of stuff, but for like the $10, and if you're interested in that, I think this is a much cheaper option, and it seems to be pretty advanced as well, especially when you plug it into the computer and sort of look at all the stats and look at it on your phone, all that sort of jazz. Alrighty, there it is. There's my Ruideng, or whatever it's called anyway, the Ruideng battery checker. And for me, I think I'm going to be using this tool a lot because, look, I do a lot, you know, this is my career. I'm always checking stuff. I'm going to use it as a good diagnostic tool to find out if something's not working, find out what's wrong with my GoPro, you know, and it's going to help me in some other things like with 3D printing and using my phone and a whole bunch of different stuff that I think this thing is going to be useful. But I definitely acknowledge that it's not going to be for everybody in our hobby. You know, a lot of people, they're finding Betaflight, you know, complex enough, just plugging that in, getting that set up, or even just a bind and fly. That's fine. I don't think that's definitely not who this audience is targeted for, but I do think that small percent, you know, I reckon about 5% of people who are using a lot of stuff with USB and see a lot of applications for this, they're going to find, you know, something like this very, very useful. Anyway, drop your comments down below, subscribe for more FPV related content. What do you think about the Ruideng? And as always, happy flying! Also too, look, I've put up so much of this foam sort of stuff around the room, you know, on my Patreon post. There should be a link down below to that, but I put all this foam stuff up there. So I'm really trying hard to work on my audio as well. So there's like 10 square meters of foam up on the walls sort of behind us. So hopefully we're getting some less echo in here. Anyway, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.